To what is the first of what I'm calling Tea Talk. And this is an opportunity to answer some of your questions, share some insight that I might have, and tell you a little bit more about what's going on behind the scenes. I may make this into a live eventually, so please let me know if that is something you'd be interested in, if you'd show up to a live. So first, I want to address that I posted something pretty vulnerable yesterday, and I really was resistant to posting something that vulnerable. It gave you a little bit of a peek into my story. After I posted it, I regretted it immediately. I felt really vulnerable. And the whole shame and vulnerability, I guess, is part of that. But also, I think some of the things I talked about so often, we're taught when we've been through something like that to be the bearer of it. We're taught to keep the secrets. We're taught to feel the shame. And unfortunately, that's just what we've created in this world and how it affects people. And so I immediately wondered how people would judge me, how it would be used against me. I didn't want anyone to be offended or hurt that knew it was referencing them, which is also why I was pretty vague. I'm not trying to shame anyone, actually, because I know that everyone is acting out of their own story, their own pain, and life is complicated, and I know that we're all the villain in somebody's story, so I hope that somebody would give me grace. I know I'm the villain in somebody's story too, so I've tried to give people a lot of grace and forgiveness throughout my life, and it's something I continue to work on. But it was really difficult to admit some of those things publicly, and two things came up for me later, though, that made me feel okay with it. One of those things was that I have people reach out to me all the time, either through comments or an email or something, that are going through a really hard time. And some of the content that I'm providing or meditations are what is helping them, what helps them to cope. And how can I help people if I can't be honest and vulnerable myself? If I can't be willing to share my story and my own pain to a certain degree? We all, deserve some level of privacy, and I'm a private enough person that I want to keep some things close, but I felt like it was an opportunity for me to open up a little bit so that if somebody sees my story, they can feel like I might understand where they're coming from, because I've been through enough that I sure do understand what a lot of people are going through. And while I'm not here to shame the people in my story, and I'm always working through, why things happened or what it means or how it impacted my life, how it helped me even, and a blessing, that a lot of my trauma has been a blessing and brought me to certain points in my life. But I also decided that I'm the one that suffered these things. And so I get to do what I want with it. It's my story. I had to go through it. And so whatever way I want to use that story, it's mine to use. So I made some peace with that decision and feel much better about it. So I want to address some comments. I'm going to go through some comments and questions that people have left on the channel over the past couple weeks. And I also want you to just always know that I read everything that you write, and I try to respond to most of it. If it's a little bit negative, sometimes I may not respond. I don't think that those need a response. YouTube does a good amount of censoring, so I'm sure I don't even see the most negative things. But know that I do see them, and I will respond most of the time, especially if it's a question. It may take me some time to respond, though, because it takes me a little bit to get through these things. I'm on some other platforms where I also get comments and reviews, and so I have to keep up with those things, and sometimes it's a job in its own. So first question. So Maria Alina, which I've mentioned this before. I'm just so happy when I see one of your comments. You're so encouraging and sweet, and You seem like you just really appreciate what I'm doing, and it just makes my heart so happy, honestly. But you had one of the questions you asked, would I be willing to record an alpha meditation pre-sleep? And I'm really curious if you could let me know what that means. What does that even look like? My first thought when I see that is that that's not a very productive use of alpha. Alpha is more of an active brain state, even though it is in part a relaxation, and we do go into it in relaxation. It's still a more active relaxation brain state. So my suspicion is that if you used it for sleep, it might keep your brain too active. That what would be more effective is actually getting you into theta and delta so that you could have deep sleep. And so let me know what you think and what your thoughts are on that, because maybe there's something I'm missing there that I can help you with. And I would love to record something if the community would benefit. I'm always open to that. Miss Livy Bivy, I think is how you say that. And this is in reference to a video that I recorded talking about life being in between and not waiting for something before you can feel better. And she says, the now is dependent on lawyers releasing my life on a practical level from my divorce and allowing me to be in between. How to separate the two. And I think that's a perfect example of being in the in-between. That is that in-between, because you are waiting. You both are in between. Once you're done with a divorce, you'll be in the in-between, creating this new life. And now you're in the in-between as well. So I think it's perspective and applying the right perspective to it, that don't wait for the lawyers to release you. I understand like what a tough time that is, going through a divorce, and it feels like you're stuck. It feels very powerless, and so I have a lot of compassion for where you're at and what you're dealing with. But find the spaces where you can feel peace and joy, happiness, self-love. Just be really kind to yourself, and find the places where you can feel good in spite of what's going on outside of you. Just try to see it as it's an experience. It's part of life, and give it less power is what I would also suggest. Chris Valdez says, will this help my public speaking anxiety? And this is in reference to the Silva method. And absolutely. It's exactly for things like that, just improving things that you want to about yourself, things you want to manifest, ways you want to improve anything. It can help you with that. You could visualize your public speaking. Now, I don't have specific examples of exactly how to do that. So you might have to kind of figure out for yourself, is there maybe a certain place you want to speak at? You want to speak at a certain event. So you could visualize that with the Silva method. And it would probably release a lot of anxiety, for one. So you would feel less anxious about speaking. And also keep in mind that, if you look at like someone who is a professional golfer, for example, a lot of times they've gone through, a swing in their mind before they're even on the green, right? So they've been practicing that in their mind. They've been visualizing that, and that's how they're able to accomplish that. And so you could do something like that. So you're actually visualizing being at the event, how you're speaking, the level of confidence you have. So yeah, it's pretty powerful. I definitely think you could use it for that. CEC Entertainment Making says, my eyes feel so uncomfortable while looking upward. Any pointers? I hear this a lot. And, of course, when you're looking just the 20-degree angle, or even if you're doing like a 45-degree angle where you're looking at your third eye, for example, they aren't always the most comfortable positions. And I don't know what Jose Silva would say exactly. I think they would probably say to just kind of keep pulling the eyes up, and that, eventually it'll get easier or more comfortable. And I would say try that. But also I would say don't think too much about it. If you can't keep your eyes up, if it's too uncomfortable, then don't, and see what happens. A lot of times what affects our meditation practice, or any of these practices, is thinking too much about it. getting too caught up in doing it right and worrying about doing it right. And I think if you just kind of let go, keep trying to do it, keep trying to pull the eyes up, but also maybe don't for a while and just do the other parts of the practice. And then once those feel like they're more normal and you feel more comfortable doing them, it's something that you're used to doing, then maybe practice with the eyes again too. So just keep trying. Celeste Aveline asks if I have any shorter alpha sessions with visualization, that she does the 30-minute, but it's a bit long for 2 times a day, and she'd love to have a 15 or 20-minute combo with meditation and visualization. I really love your meditations. Thank you, Celeste. Okay, so possibly one of the reasons that the meditations are a little bit longer is, of course, like the counting period. That takes some time to do the counting. So maybe if you see this and you would just give me some ideas of what does that look like for you? Where would you like to see time shortened? I can definitely work on something like that, and I would love to help you out there. Can you touch upon overwhelming sadness? This is for Maria Alina again, and this is in response to, I think it was shortness of breath, when you experience shortness of breath in meditation, a video about that. And so I actually recorded a video about feeling anger in meditation as well, and I would say overwhelming anger could be the term as well. But when it comes to sadness, so, it's really the same, I would say pretty much the same thing about why you're experiencing that. And so when you meditate, and especially as you get deeper into meditation in your practice, when you've been doing it for a very long time and you're working more on what you could say is enlightenment, evolution, whatever you want to call it, but it's really opening yourself up, you start peeling away the layers. And some of that is trauma coming up. Remember that Jesus wept all the time, or there's lots of stories about him weeping all the time. And whether you believe in, Jesus from the Christian level, a lot of people that aren't Christians believe that he is an ascended master, along with many other ascended masters. And so I haven't researched if Buddha, for example, wept all the time, but I would guess there's probably stories of that too. Because you're revealing the own layers of your healing when you're meditating at some point. Once, maybe you've gotten past just needing it to get, for anxiety or for relaxation, and you're working on something deeper. And so you're revealing the layers of yourself in your own healing, but you're also starting to feel the pain of the world a lot of the time. And that's what Jesus felt, and other ascended masters, I'm guessing, too. And that can be really overwhelming for sure. Once you open yourself up, you'll feel things that are surprising and also very difficult to feel. But it is that oneness. It is that connection to all. And it's also really beautiful. So don't get too caught up in being upset by that. If it's an issue and you feel like you need to delve into that with a skilled meditation teacher or a therapist or whatever, make sure that you're protecting your mental health, of course. But these experiences can be very beautiful as well. All right, so I think that's all for questions today and comments, and keep them coming. If you want to put any more in the description or in the comment section, if you want to, put it on other videos, send them to me, whatever, I'm happy to help. I am working on a series of experiential meditations, is what I'm calling them. So these are meditations where I'm helping you have an experience. So I'm guiding you into a deeper state. These are my original meditations. I'm guiding you into a deeper state with these and using sound to help you get to certain states for different reasons. So, for example, alpha is more for, kind of logical stuff. Visualization and manifestation is part of that. I guess that would be the main thing in alpha. And then once you get into theta and delta, then those can be states that, it's maybe more about a deeper spiritual experience, for example. So you'll hear more about that. I'm not going to go too deep into it, but just know that that's something I'm working on. Also, I have a bunch of original meditations on the channel and on Insight Timer as well. And they can also be purchased on PayHip, and the link is in the description. There's also some worksheets on that PayHip account too. There's a free one as well as some paid. They're very inexpensive though, and things that'll just help you with manifesting or visualization or creating your ideal self, things like that. And my original meditations are very inexpensive too on PayHip, but that way you don't have to worry about ads. You could have it downloaded on your phone. So look there for those. And you can also purchase my morning meditation audiobook on Audible and at most audiobook retailers, or it's available through some libraries as well. So look for it there. And it's also mentioned in the description. So look for it there. I think that's it for today, but this is exciting to have kind of these office hours to connect with everyone. And again, if you want me to make this into a live, let me know. Otherwise, I will record some of these to just connect, share information, and try and help everyone out. So with love, everyone, have a good day.